I actually got a lot of follow-up questions from Cody, so I'm just going to be answering all of his questions today. So a second or third question that he asked me was, hey man, I have a couple more questions if you could. Q1. After I get off, I usually lay down on a heat pad on my arms and hands. I see in the article it says ice helps with the hands, and should I avoid putting heat on my hands? And Q2 is it better to do mini stretches while spectating or loading a new game, or just rest your hands? And to add on, question one, should I ice my hands after games instead of using the heat pad, or both? I really don't care if that's a lot of work, just want to get the best results. I love this. You are so focused on optimizing your recovery, optimizing your health. So one, treat ice as sort of a medication for when you have any potential flare-up or minor aches. We can expect some days to be a little more painful as you steadily build up your endurance and work a little harder on your wrist and hand. And heat can be helpful to be used before gaming. You can also use both together in what we call contrast, and this can be a general recovery tool. So after you've done your session, you put your hands or wrists in some ice, or if you have a cold pack, you put the cold pack on your wrist and hand for 20 minutes, then you put another 20 minutes on a heat pad, and then you cycle that. You have 20 ice, 20 heat, 20 minutes rest, 20 heat, ice, 20 heat, 20 minutes rest. You can do that twice. That can be just a general recovery tool, as maybe you watch something on Twitch, watch something on Netflix. And for question two, is it better to do mini stretches while spectating? I would say it depends. If it's in the beginning of your session, it's not that important to do stretches or mini stretches during that time. I think it can only be beneficial as long as you're not holding the stretch for longer than 60 seconds. So in general, in the beginning, you might not have to do the mini stretches. Maybe near the end of your session, when you've played for 3 to 4 plus hours, absolutely do some stretches while you are spectating, while you are waiting for a cue, or if you missed or breaked a scrim block. I don't think stretching can be harmful, again, unless you are stretching for longer than 60 seconds. So keep it between 20 to 30 seconds, or even shorter. Just a general light stretch to optimize the length of the muscle so you can get back to using your muscle with the right coordination. Okay, so the Cody saga continues. He asked me some further questions, and he says, hey man, so I've been doing everything we talked about and my wrist pain went seats, but I think that was the autocorrect for away. But recently my index finger is getting slower or something. I can do double edits as fast as my finger does feel tired. Just feels like it can't press it fast enough sometimes. And is there something I should do? I'm not old, I'm still a teenager. Thanks for reminding me, I'm an oldie. I've put together a new schedule kind of with your videos. Do you think this is good? Wrist warrior 3 times a week, 6-minute stretch before I play, 6-minute post-session stretch after I'm done playing. So first of all, I think that's a great schedule that you put together. The wrist warrior 3 times a week is just fine, especially now that you have less pain and you can use it just as an overall conditioning routine. And I think 6-minute stretch before and after, it might not be as necessary to do the stretching routine before you play. Maybe just certain components like the self-massage, but I would actually focus more on doing things like warming up. So I actually did create a 7-minute full body routine. That might be a good one to do beforehand because it warms up your whole body, and there's some finger or hand exercises that you can do to help your fingers and hand warm up. And I would also supplement that with actual warm up for Fortnite or within Fortnite, whether it be Kovacs or you hop into creative and doing some creative practice and build practice just to get your coordination all set up. And then I think the 6-minute post-session stretch is perfect. Always do that after, again, because it is a recovery routine that you can implement into your regular schedule. So getting back to your first question about your index finger and how it feels a little more slow, I think there are a couple things to consider with what you're feeling. And the first thing to consider is that basically what you're dealing with is some index finger fatigue, because double editing requires a lot of clicking. It's, again, about building up your endurance to handle the high actions per minute when you play. And I think the approach is a little different here because we can be more specific with addressing the endurance of your index fingers, or the slips of fibers that allow you to control your index and middle finger that you obviously use a lot when you play Fortnite. And there's going to be a full video that I'm going to be coming out with my good friend PPU, Kevin, that helps not only console gamers but people that just utilize their index fingers quite frequently for games like Fortnite, where the tech requires you to click very heavily, but it allows you to isolate the muscles, isolate the slips of fibers that allow you to control these fingers with a grip strengthener called Digiflex, which is right here. And what you can do is actually sort of reverse engineer how many reps you should do by roughly estimating your APMs. But I think a good place to start is probably 3 sets of 15, 3 sets of 20 twice a day. And all you're going to be doing is using this and focusing really on your first 2 fingers. There's other things you can do, like utilizing Theraputty and just pressing down. I'll send that video over, I'll include that in the description. But you're going to just be focusing on using your index and middle finger and performing high volume of repetitions because you want to build up the endurance. And you can also consider doing it with a lower resistance Digiflex, because you're really clicking very quickly, and you want to be able to mimic that sort of endurance, so the higher speed type of endurance for your muscles. So there we go. Hope that was helpful. I know all of the questions from one guy, but I'm going to be going over some other questions in some future episodes. Thank you guys so much. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Leave it in the description, and I'm going to be answering it live.